And are you refreshed? Yes. Good. Now what?
So my question has to do with negative emotional stuff, energy.
Guidance.
It's one thing for me, I get cut off in traffic or somebody I know does something that makes me, that kind of stuff is not that difficult to handle, to get into a better...
Because it doesn't challenge a strong desire. Someone called you on the telephone and said, hello, you don't know me. I'm just calling to tell you I'll never call you again. You'd say, all righty then.
Yeah. But I have this experience where, and it's oftentimes in the morning, where it's like I wake up into this heavy, dark, negative, discouraging.
You do. You wake up into the vibration that you left there. In other words, it's sort of culmination of how you feel. And when you wake up and come back into it, it's always a shock because you had a respite from it. So it's particularly annoying when you greet it again.
Yeah, very annoying. I just have the hardest time sometimes with that, trying to start to shift that dial or whatever, because it's all this stuff from childhood. It's like, well, and it just seems so heavy and so real, so dense.
Well, everything we've been talking about today is about how to soften that for yourself. We have some questions for you. Do you acknowledge that negative emotion is guidance?
Yes.
And the reason that it is because part of you doesn't feel that way and part of you does. And that discord is about that discord.
Yes.
So does it then follow that since it's such strong, dense, hard-feeling stuff, that there really is a strong difference of opinion between what you've been assuming and what really is?
Yes.
That does follow, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So if you could, in the early stages of recognizing that you're starting to go there, if you could say to yourself, my inner being isn't in agreement with me, I wonder what my inner being is thinking about this. Or if you could go to bed with the intention of when you get up, starting on subjects that are easier. One time, someone said to us, Abraham, it doesn't feel to me like I'm thinking my own thoughts. It feels like my thoughts are thinking me. And what he meant was, there's this momentum, as you just said, that it's hard to overcome it. But it isn't hard to overcome it. It's just a train can't be going 80 miles an hour that way and all of a sudden go 80 miles an hour that way. It would be bad for the contents of the train. So it's a matter of sort of slowing it down and then getting it going. And so it could be very helpful if, when you go to bed at night, you could try to ponder a little bit, activate within yourself the best thing that happened that day, or the best thing that's happened this week, or something that felt better. In other words, start the momentum, and then in the morning, find something that feels better. In other words, we know, because we can feel you, and we know what's in your vortex, we know it's not all dark, and we think you're holding yourself to very strict standards. Esther does that too. When something is out of whack with her, she feels as bad as if she'd killed someone. In other words, you don't take negative emotion very well when you want to be in alignment.
Yeah.
So the first thing that we're encouraging you to do is stop beating up on yourself. And next, don't emphasize the parts that are troubling. Instead, emphasize the parts that are less troubling. And don't try to take such big leaps. Don't beat up on yourself that you're not waking up feeling exhilaration. Exhilaration is going to come once momentum has been allowed for a while. So when you first wake up, what do? Do you set an alarm?
Yes.
Do you wake up to an alarm?
Most of the time.
So the alarm is sort of interrupting. It's interrupting something that is more peaceful. Esther has been wearing a Fitbit because she's enjoying keeping track of how many steps she is taking. And her Fitbit tells her how many steps she is taking. and 10,000 is so easy to do. But it also registers her heart rate. And she noticed that when she would wake up to an alarm, her heart rate would go through the roof. It was like her alarm was scaring her awake. Her resting heart rate's around 60. And even after she's been on the treadmill for a while, it's 72 or 75. And if she really ramps it up, she can get it up deliberately. But to wake up to 102 heart rate means you've been startled into reality. And that's what sort of happens to you sometimes, is that you're in this vibrational place where the momentum has stopped, and then you sort of get startled into reality, where immediately you start focusing right away on those things that are less than aligning in nature. So when you wake up to your alarm, do you wake up to your alarm because you have things that you want to tend to and you don't want to oversleep?
Yeah.
And so after you wake up, is it necessary that you immediately get out of bed?
Not always.
So we would encourage you to set your alarm for 20 minutes before you actually need to get out of bed, and call that your luxurious basking yourself back into reality time. In other words, doing yourself the favor. Can you do that without upsetting anybody else around?
Yeah.
So then when you set your alarm the night before, say to yourself, I'm looking forward to awakening and settling in to a better feeling day. And then when you wake up, say to yourself, I don't have to get up. I can just stay right here. I can just stay right here and feel the comfort of my bed. And then focus on the comfort of your bed, providing yourself with that little window of luxury. It's like a gift to yourself of just re-emerging back in. It's not different. When you wake up in the morning, it's not different than being born into this physical body, except you know more. And most of it is not to your advantage. And so as you deliberately allow yourself to just bask a little bit, and you do this every morning for a while, you're going to discover that in that quiet time, other thoughts are going to occur to you. It will be like extending the slowed momentum for a longer period of time so that you get to set the tone of this day. It will be powerful for you.
It's more gradual. I have one more question that relates to that.
Are you going to do that?
Yes, I will.
Are you going to do that?
Yes.
Everybody ought to do that if you're really looking to set the tone the way you want to. If you're waking up just happy to be in this day, and you can hardly wait for your feet to hit the floor because there's so much momentum that you've already got going, then this process isn't necessary for you. But if anything less than feeling great when you wake up is what you're experiencing, then give yourself the opportunity to set your own tone, because first thing in the morning is the best probability of doing it. Yeah. What else?
I've been guided lately to do a process with feelings where you just focus on the feeling in your body. Not words, not anything mental about it, but just focus on the feeling, where it is in your body, where it's located, and just...
No matter what it is?
Yeah, and just focus into that. Well, no, for negative feelings.
So if you've got a negative feeling, focus on it?
Yeah, actually, but just in an effort to release it.
Oh, well, that won't release it. That will encourage it. That will...
I mean, that's what I thought, because there's a...
Well, you can't focus on anything without attracting more to it. Let us say this, in harmony with what they're getting at as they're teaching this to you. Every subject is really two subjects, and the wave has the what's wanted and the what's not wanted. In other words, they're sort of equivalent. And so by focusing on what you don't want, there is a pivot into what you do want. But when you're doing it at a feeling level, you got to make that shift rapidly. And so the question that we put to you is, what kinds of feelings are you trying to bounce from? Can you give us an example? Have you been trying it a little bit?
Fear, feeling of discouragement.
Tell us what you do.
You just locate the feeling in your body. Focus
and
on...
Most of them are right here.
Yeah, usually here or chest. It's
yeah.
Usually, just focus on it. Breathe. don't listen to words, don't go into words about it or thoughts about it. Just focus on the physical feeling and try to send love to it. And eventually, most of the time I've done it, there does seem to be a release point, a point at which, where it like feels better.
Because in the not trying to identify what it's about, going to that unconditional place. So what is your question to us about it? In other words, we want to say to you, to all of you, anything that you're finding that is taking you from not feeling good to feeling better is a good process. Anything that you're finding that is giving you a feeling of release is a good process. It is a path of lesser resistance.
Yeah, because there just are times when a feeling seems so strong that to start to think good thoughts seems like just plastering something on top of.
We agree with you, but the thing is, by the time a feeling feels strong, you've had many opportunities to have diffused it before it got there. So we're just not encouraging you to wait until it feels really strong before you follow this process. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
Yes, enough?
Yes.
Really good.